After 2 years of COVID restrictions, this year's big challenge for holiday shopping is soaring inflation. You know what that's like as a consumer. And tonight we want to get the perspective from the other side of the counter. So we're checking in with three shopkeepers from across the country. Joanna Milios is the owner of Granville Island Toy Company here in Vancouver. Alex McLean owns East Coast Lifestyle Clothing in Halifax. And Colette Liebert is the owner of the Clarendon Trading Company, a vintage and sustainable clothing store in Toronto. Joanna and Alex, I talked to both of you last year, so let me begin with this question to, let's say, Joanna. How do things compare this year in terms of retail with last?
You know, I gotta say, it's still pretty much on track as it was from last year. Last year was a good year, and I'm happy to say I'm happy to be back this year because that means it's a good year once again.
And we hear so much about inflation, Joanna. Are you seeing any differences? You're in a reasonably nice neighborhood in Vancouver, so I don't know what it's like for your clientele, but any different choices because of inflation?
Oh, absolutely. We've seen an increase right across the board with all our toy products. Even Lego, who hadn't increased their prices for a number of years, is increasing their pricing. I think people are just used to it, though. It's kind of like we've already been hit with the shock or the sticker shock, and it's kind of like it is what it is. So people are biting the bullet. They may be making a few other different choices as opposed to what they maybe would have bought, but people are still purchasing, and especially when it comes to toys for the kids and Christmas, I think it's going to continue.
And Alex, compare for us 2022 from your perspective, your store in Halifax, compared to 2021.
Yeah, it was an interesting one this year, Ian. So our online sales were better than last year, but our brick and mortar sales were pretty much the same as last year. So we're still kind of seeing an increase of online traffic from the pandemic. And just from putting a lot of effort into social media through that 2-year period really helped us grow our social media following, which in lead helps us sell more clothing online. But as you mentioned there, inflation has affected us as well. All of our costs for clothing and apparel have gone up, and even delivery times has almost doubled. So it's definitely affected our business a lot, and we're trying to make the most of everything that we can.
And we'll talk more about that in a moment, but let's bring Colette into the conversation. Your first time talking to us. So we didn't speak with you last year, but compare for us year over year. What's different, if anything?
Yeah, so thank you so much for having me. So yeah, it's been a big difference, especially I noticed the major change at the end of the social benefits that a lot of us had. The CERB ending kind of made a really big difference in the purchasing habits of people. Clothing is my industry. Clothing to a certain extent is a necessity, but to some degree it is a luxury as well. So I did notice this year, especially particularly around the end of that CERB ending, people were a little bit more restrictive with their purchasing habits, a little bit more selective. We did kind of have to restructure a little bit of our price points, especially in person. Online, there was a little bit more flexibility there. We did also see an increase of online sales, but people are definitely a little bit more conscious of how they're spending their money.
And so from what I understand, Colette, looking at the notes, you kind of feel like you're maxed out in terms of what you can charge, but your costs are going up. So what do you do as a storekeeper to try to deal with that?
At the end of the day, as any business venture, there's going to be lots of hurdles and lots of boundaries and different things that you're going to have to face. So for us, we found that we really just had to be a little bit more creative, creative on our online, creative on in-store, not just offering different promotions, but offering, real incentives that people could see the value in that would make them want to get out of their house and, venture into our retail locations to spend their hard-earned money. As we all know right now, things are a little bit tighter than they were, let's say, last year or in previous years. So people are being more conscious, and that the onus is now on us as business owners to really showcase that value and provide people with something that they can not only afford, but feel comfortable about what they're purchasing.
And Joanna, I think it was a year ago, I walk by your store all the time, and I think I saw signs saying that the number of people that could go inside were limited a year ago because of COVID. I understand that. What I was surprised to hear is you have to limit the number of people coming into your store this year as well, but for a different reason. Tell us about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Staffing has not been as good as I would like it to be this year. I just don't know why the type of resumes that we're getting in just don't have the experience that we're seeking, which is not a heck of a lot. You know, we typically look for at least 1 or 2 years of retail experience because we also believe we can train people. But as a result, and especially with the flu going around at this time of year, we've had a couple of days where we have had staff call in sick, so we've had to limit the number of customers in the store simply so that we are still able to provide the customer service that our customers deserve.
Yeah. So we have 2 minutes left, so that's not a lot of time for each of you, but I have a really important question. And Alex, I'm going to start with you. As consumers, we need your advice. You guys know like the secrets of, so each of you, beginning with you, Alex, give us a piece of advice as consumers about how to get the best deals or the best strategy for holiday shopping.
I would say it's so important for Canadians to support local and shop local, especially this holiday season. All the small businesses really need it. It helps keep our jobs local, helps our economy as well. So when you're making your buying decisions, definitely consider buying local and going out to your local shops and supporting those businesses because we need it the most from coast to coast across the nation for sure.
Colette?
So a lot of local businesses right now are doing a lot of online local reach out into the community. So if you are, looking to stretch your dollar a little bit further, take your time and go on their website, go on their social media, see what special promotions that they're offering. And again, do your best to support local if you can, because of course we really do appreciate it. And small businesses are the thread of our local economy.
All right, Joanna, let's assume that we're going to try to support local businesses, but you're a veteran retailer. Give us a tip of maybe how to get the best deals or what we should be doing this time of year as consumers.
Well, obviously, I have to reiterate what Alex and Colette said. They are so right on the money as far as consumers and coming into stores. Have some patience, and yes, I think Colette's advice of going on their websites or social media, et cetera, to see what kind of specials they are doing. I think supply chain issues are still affecting things a little bit, so you may not see as many specials, but you can always ask a shopkeeper if you see something that's less expensive elsewhere. Ask them if they'll price match. If they're able to do it, I know in our case, if we're able to price match something, we will.
That's good advice. Thanks to all of you, and I wish you a good holiday season.
Thank you, you as well.
Thank you very much. You too.